Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Sulaiman Raheem here. Welcome. Let's slay some demons. Brothers and sisters, the purpose of this presentation is to connect some dots as to what we can expect to be happening very soon. In fact, it's happening now. So we'll put some knots, fill in some blanks, put some meat on it, so you have a better understanding. So be very clear as time moves on. Because currently, right now, we're at the brink of war with Iran. Technically, we are at war. But we're going to see what Angel has to say about it. Now, leading up to this, I've been putting out presentations, and I've been giving a timeline about how Iran got to this point. The JCPOA that Obama installed, agreement, the one that Mr. Trump broke, Obama established it 2015. It says they will be on the feet of the nation for 42 months, 3.5 years, which is exactly what happened. Mr. Trump broke it in 2018, mid-2018, which would be 3.5 years. Okay, at that point, right, that will begin this win. Because if you look at this situation, if you look at it carefully, if you go study it, in each one of those positions, is tell how long they were in that position. But when it gets to after Mr. Trump breaks the JCPOA, then it's how long, not how long in position, how long it takes them to get to the next position, which would be 2 years, which would bring us to where we are right now. See, 2018, 2020, and mid-2020, so it would take 24 months. So that would put us into mid-2020, starting from March, because March is the first of the year, technically, universally, is the Romans that changed it. March is the spring, the first day of spring. So that would put you into around November. And they'll position it. At that point, they'll position, right, to, that's where technically the war would start. Because it's talking about a win. So in other words, it's 2 stages there. It's talking about after 24 days, or 24 months, or 2 years, right? They were the Spirit of God came to them. So that's putting them in. And then the second stage, they stood upon their feet. In other words, so that's the precursor to the war, November 2020. But how long would it take them to be victorious? So, they'd be putting pressure. So we'll see that. So they'll be putting pressure on them. That's what you understand, this win, because they're moving. I say it again. You had different positions that the witnesses were in chapter 11. But it was how long they were in that position. But when it comes to the point where after the agreement is broken, it's not about how long is the position, it's how long it took them to get to the next position. That means movement. That's the win. But it was 2 stages. First, they got to the next position where it said that the Spirit of God came to them. And then the next, where they stood upon their feet. So it was two. So right now we're at a point where it says Spirit of God came to them. That's when the plagues and things would take place. And then the next stage would be at a point where they'd be victorious. Now that's the point where it says we'll be in a 1 year period, but it doesn't say precisely exactly when that would happen. It just said it would happen within a 1 year period. So it says, that's why it says only the Father knows exact date of that. He didn't say he knows when it would start, right? It says he would know the time that it would end, when the war would, when they were victorious, when the war was over. That's when, so only he would know that. So, and not even the Son, Suleiman would know, only Farah would know it. But the exact time, not during the period of time, because the angel tells us the period of time is during this year, starting from November of 220. So it'll be accomplished between now and November 221. But, right, It will be in that period of time, but exact time, it doesn't tell you. So only Farad knows that one. So let's move on, brothers and sisters. So here it is. And the stars of the heaven fell. See, this, it's the sixth seal that points to this. It's the sixth seal. And this is part of it. This is speak to that what I've been talking about. And the stars of heaven fell into the earth as fig tree destroying the unripe figs of it by wind great being shaken. So it's fig tree. We understand the fig tree befalls Israel, and America and Britain are his figs. So something happens, a wind hits them, right, that caused them to shake. And happened before they would, that's another story I'm not getting to right now. They were unripe. See, because in other words, it happened before they was ready. So in other words, this was a war that they wanted, but it happened on Farad's time, not on their time. It happened before they were ready. That's why it's unripe figs. They weren't ready yet. See, so that's another story that gets more complicated. We're not going to address here. But it says unripe figs, so it happened before they was ready, because they was planning. Farad made a plan, and a lot of Farad is the best of plans in this situation, right? Okay, that's what. So we're going. That's what we're going to focus on right here. The main idea we're going to focus on right here.
And the stars of the heaven fell into the earth, as fig tree is throwing the unripe figs of it by wind great being shaken.
See, that's where. So here, the wind here. See, you know, the seven trumpets are also winds. The four winds are the first four trumpets. All the trumpets are winds. So this is the wind here. This is the fifth trumpet. He's the first one to blow. The one reason why I call it winds, because, you know, trumpets are wind instruments, right? So that's the first. So that's the wind it's talking about. You see. So this wind, right? Now they're not this position. This position you see right here is when they were in the JCPOA for 3.5 years. That's the position you see right now. So, okay, go on, the next one. Now that's the position they're in right now. After Trump broke the agreement 2 years later, right? The 2020, from 2018 and a half, which was around November, right? And to 2020 around November, right? So that's the position they would be. So see, they're moving up. It's telling you not how long they're in that position, but how long it took me to get that position. So it took 2 years to get this. That's a wind. That's the wind that's blowing. The wind is blowing. It's putting pressure. See, putting pressure on that fig tree. Putting pressure on that fig tree. Because how do you know the wind is blowing? See, you know the wind is blowing by, you see the leaves rattling, the branches rattling. So you see all this trouble going on in America right now. That means the wind is blowing on them. And where's the wind is ultimately coming from? The angel. Because since 1990, America's been all kinds of trouble, turmoil, especially in the Middle East. See, but the whole world, right? So that means the wind is blowing. You don't see the wind, but you can know the wind is blowing because you can see the effect it has on the trees and the branches. See, that's what it's talking about here. So you see all this going on right now, and I mean, it says, who says? What does it say in chapter 11? It said this plague be spread by the Shia, the witnesses. So this plague came in, and look at the wind. Look at all the turmoil it caused in America for a year. And it's still going. See, they said that this wind caused Mr. Trump his election. See? So look at how much damage done to America in the last year. That means, where does this come from? It's a wind. You see the rattling, the trees rattling, that means the wind blowing. And it's blowing real. The harder it blows, right, the more shaking you're going to see. Understand, underline, I'm trying to connect some dots here for you. That's what it's talking about. It says the wind, so now, right now, the wind is blowing on America, false Israel, and Britain. It's blowing. Because what? Iran, after November, after the election, election, I said it. Before that, I said there will be a great event. What happened? Well, I asked the question. What would happen in November that would shake the whole world, right? I didn't say what. I said what would happen, right? And what did happen? Trump won. Senile Biden won the election. Nobody expected him to win that election. He didn't even expect to win it. He man senile, and that changed the reality of the whole world. That affect America, affect all other nations. China, the way China's becoming more aggressive. Russia become more aggressive. It check everybody. Iran's become more aggressive. It changed, and look all stuff turmoil's going on in America right now. It changed the whole landscape. That was a major event, right? So that's what happened. So now you use pressure, pushing, and so Iran is up in the ante. It says, we're gonna keep it, we're gonna enrich it more. So they put more pressure on the West. And the West said, you can't do that, because if you keep doing that, we're gonna have military action against you. They're not saying sanctions anymore, military action. See, because they're feeling the pressure. That wind's blowing on them. America, Britain, France, Germany, Israel are threatening daily, even more pressure. Israel said, I don't care. Israel said, I don't care what Biden does. They're not going to have them. They're going to stop it from enriching uranium. And they say they're only weeks away from the bomb. Do the math. Do the math. That's what I'm showing. I'm doing calculations here. What I'm trying to do is trying to connect the dots for you, so you can see deeper into what's going on here. Okay, so that's where we are right now, and they're blowing. That says that wind was blowing, right? See. So how much wind will it take to cause the figs to stop, right? To be blown away. Bam. That's what happens when the war starts. What happens? See, the wind blew the figs off the tree, blew the tree down. See, that's what happened. Babylon falls. See, Britain's thrown into the sea, which is China and Korea and Orient. That's what happens. By a mighty wind. See, it's a mighty wind. That means not one of the four winds. It's mighty winds. Now you got to be careful of these words. Very, very important. So that's what's happening here. This is what's going to happen. About to happen, because wind's blowing. At what point? Because right now, Biden just hit Iran, hit Syria, Iran proxy, and threatened to hit more. See, and Iran threatened and said, we ain't going to stop enriching uranium. And Israel just said, no, we don't care what Biden do. We don't care if he go to JCPOA, whatever, right? We're still going to hit him. And Iran said, we're not going back to the JCPOA unless you re-sanction. We ain't going to re-sanction you. See, you see what happened? So at what point, and clock is ticking. Because they're saying they only got a little time before they would have enough uranium to have a nuclear weapon. Do the math. So somebody got to give, or they're going to war. Then they have to go backwards according to the Angel. You understand? That means they have to go back to under for the nations again, under UN. The Angel says it's not going to happen. But we got a time frame. We ain't got years anymore. They tell you this got to happen soon. And they get more aggressive. You understand that? So either war or they return back to, that's why watch JCLP. If they turn back that means the Angel was wrong, and I can just, wrap up my thing and just go about my business, and we can just wrap this up. Forget about it. If the Angel is wrong on this point, but this is the point where everything changes. This is the main point. This is the heart of the Angel right here. All the scriptures and everything surrounded right around here when that war takes place in heaven. You understand? So if this don't take place like it says, hey, and how you got me on record? You won't hear from me anymore. Because it's just wrong. And it's very clear. This is very clear. This is very clear. They got it. So it says going to war. See, it's only one choice. They got to either go back to JCPOA. And Iran said, we're not going back unless you drop the sanctions. And Biden said, no, we're not drop sanctions. You go back to JCPOA. And Iran, remember, that's the Persians. And they the ones that invented chess. They ain't stupid. Because if they go back to JCOP, right, with sanctions on, that means they have to get rid of all that nuclear material and everything they have right now. It took them 2 years to get to the stage. So they get rid of it, they go back, then they keep sanctions on. Now they're under sanctions for 2 more years, 2 additional years, which would totally collapse the economy, and it take 2 more years to get to where they are right now. And they'd be weaker in a weaker state. They're not stupid. And they didn't break the agreement Trump did. So that's where we are. So, and the thing is, remember, the angel talk. I've been talking about this for years. The angel wrote this 16,000 years ago. This, and all right now we have a situation where this exactly matches the situation the angel's talking about. It exactly matches the situation we're talking about. It's a point of decision. What they're going to do, one or the other. Even Ray Charles could see this one. But blind Farrakhan and they're not talking about this because they have no idea. They're sitting and waiting. They're watching me. They're trying to block me and everything, sending little spies and everything here. See, trying to shut me down because they don't know. And people ask, how come you don't know what's going to happen? They can't tell them. And they're afraid that it might happen exactly like I said, right? Like the angel predicts. And then they already missed COVID-19. That was the easy one. 1619, 2019, 2020 will be a plague that will kill the firstborn and the elderly and pass over us. Oh, we down, dropping like flies. Yet the whole continent of Africa, Black Africa, is not affected. They're not masking and social distancing, none of that stuff. And they got the same genes we got. They kept that secret. Wouldn't that be great news? What if the whole world, you understand, was all right and the only place was suffering for this thing was Black Africa? Remember when they had Ebola over there? That was all over the news. Hey, man, they got Ebola. But that was big news because it was happening in Africa. But now it's happened to Europe and South. They don't talk about it. That should be big news. How come? Hey, man, they ain't affecting the people over there, man. Because if they're that, then they can't explain how come they saying that we're dropping like flies over here. I don't know anybody that's died from it. Maybe some of you know. But the point is that that's why they're doing that. And then all of a sudden they love you so much. Oh, we got to definitely get them black. We got really vaccinated. We love you so much. We definitely can take y'all first. But they always tell us it's experimental. Who? Brothers, we connecting dots here. So I'm not going to. I'm not getting sidetracked here because there's a lot to talk about. So we're gonna stay focused. See, that's what it says. And then where it says the winds change, and then as stars fell into the earth, right? The two winds are also the stars. And that's the earth. What's the earth? Right? Britain and America are earth. Part of the earth. So he's talking about, that's the four winds. Because that four winds will happen, right after the war starts. That's what's talking about sixth seal. That's about to happen. It could happen any day now. Expected to happen any day now. And when it does happen, all these other clowns are toast. Because their time is over. See, they had limited time. There was only one generation could pass after the message passed anyway. Because it says Joshua will come. Because they only had one generation to do their mess. And now the world is changing. In a way they didn't expect it to change. And they can't explain it. They have no light. The little light they have, which is very little, is about to be shut out, snuffed out. That's what I said. Those who have light, more will be given. Those who have a little bit of light, even a little light they have will be snuffed out, taken away. Because they got a little bit of light they stole from Elijah Muhammad, which is flickering down because it doesn't explain any of this. They don't explain COVID-19. They don't explain this. What explain any of this stuff? It talks in generalities. They can't explain it. So they run around this little light, and because they claim they have light, they don't have it. They run, and it's like about to go out because it doesn't. Because that was past. The Quran again. That's an issue of the past. It says the Injil, and Daniel will be the last books that be the light for this time. Not the Quran, not Mr. the Black Man. None of that. It tells you exactly what. So that means those lights, right? They burn it out. See, so pretty soon the darkness will be so much going to shut them, snuff them out, and that's when people going to start running together because they're going to see look, they have no light. What to do? They're going to be comatose, have no idea. Like a deer caught in the headlights. They have no idea what to do, and it's going to be clear. And Elijah Muhammad said, you do not want to be in their shoes when this happens. You're not going to be. He said it wouldn't be in their shoes. Their shoes made of gold and silver and diamonds. These preachers and false leaders like Farrakhan and Silas and Royal and all these clowns and T.J. Jakes and all these people out here. Woo! When that war happens, you're gonna see some strange things, brothers and sisters. You're gonna see people impaled on corners. Same preachers. So their own people going to grab them. Own people going to grab them and impale their ass and have impales that look like popsicles. Watch. Because this is not a game. This is a time of unprecedented trouble like never been since there was a nation or ever will be again. See, the day of the Lord says it'd be so dramatic, it'd be nothing like it. What you're going to see, brothers and sisters, in this year, ain't going to be nothing like it. You know, they already was shocked in November because America in a time of trouble like this here, and they elected a senile man that don't know where he is, can't remember anything. Here you are, you in a war, a desperate war, and you find somebody that's mentally challenged and put him in charge of the war? And you expect to win? Now his own people turn against him. They want him to give up the nuclear codes. They can't trust with that. They aimed at Trump, and they hated him because the man's mentally impaired. He's senile, but he's the one going to lead the war. See? And he's got to prove something. He's got to prove he ain't senile. He's got to prove he got balls, right? So now he got testosterone conflict. What you think that, brothers and sisters, put it all together. Let's move on. Okay, the mighty win the war. Okay. So here we are right here. That'll say the winds are pressuring America. This is where they were in 2018 with time that Trump broke the agreement. 2018, mid 2018, we're starting from March, spring to March 21st, right? Okay, so now they start pressuring because they start moving up, and that the plague. The board on the plague. They said, the Exodus tells that God said, I will send that plague. That's coming from Farad. And the angel tells us that the Shia, his angels, and it says that they would have authority to spread plagues on the earth. It means the European countries, right? As often as they will. So that means that's doing this, they've been doing this particular time, they're doing it. That's where it's clear coming from, so they can say what they want to say. I'm going with the angel. Okay? So that's what happened. Not wrong with that. That's what happened. So here you go. Now this is where we are right now. See, because they moved up. He said it took 2 years to get the position from 2018 midway to 2018 midway. That means it was a win because they was moving. Now how long they was in position, but how long it took them to get there. So that's the win. That's movement. That's the win. So they're pressuring because they're moving up. They're pressuring. That's the win, right? That's on that fig tree. Satan, Gog, and Magog. Pressure. So it's pressuring them because America's they are pressured right now because Iran's pressuring them. They said, we're going to keep enriching the rate. That's putting pressure on them because we can't let that happen. They said, we cannot let that happen. And there's a lot more going this here because her point is one of the things is, as far as Israel, they cannot let Iran get nuclear weapons. They definitely can't do it. Why? Because their agenda. Because they're trying to pretend they're us. And the whole idea is the covenant says they would take all of Arabia. That's what we're given, the promised land. And they got this little piece over here, right? And their ambition is to take all of that. But the only thing that's stopping them is Iran. That's the only country that's stopping is Iran. If Iran gets nuclear weapons, they wouldn't be able to do it. See, Iran is 1,000 times bigger than false Israel. See, and if they got nuclear weapons, there's no way they could do it. But if they can knock out Iran, then they're going to roll up Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, Jordan, they roll them up because they can't resist false Israel. They can't resist them. See? And they're all against Iran, but Iran is the ones keeping them from getting take over. Because that's what their ultimate goal is, to take over those countries. The only thing stopping is Iran. See, so that's how it says that the Arabs, if you read the scripture, it says they would be when Abraham was giving his blessings and when Isaac was giving his blessings around, he said, called the Arabs, Ishmael, a donkey of a man. Stupid. Call him a donkey of a man. Said his hand will be against everybody, every hand will be against him. Call him a donkey. Because they are donkeys. With this Sunnism, which is not even Islam. Islam is mathematics Islam. There's no mathematics in Sunnism. That's why their own prophet says that In the end, about 9% of all people claim him, they would be hell bound. He said he would know them, they would know him. And they come up with that stuff. See? So, because it says, do not take the Jews and Christians for friends, or you want them. So why are they doing that? Because it tells you, Quran tells you, they're not even Muslim, because they're one of them. And the angel goes further and says that the house of Saud are not even Arabs, they're Indians that the British put on the throne to guarantee the oil. You know, they masquerade as Muslim. Is Islam at all? Okay, this is where they are right now. Okay? Okay, so here we go. Remember, they're putting pressure. So now, this is the point where the war starts. Well, I mean, they're putting pressure on this where the actual bullets and that start flying. Because remember, they're covering America, false Israel, and Britain. That means they're in conflict with each other. That's what's about to happen. Now the wind's blowing hard directly on that tree. See, this is where Farad and his angels are fighting the dragon and his angels. Right here, this point. It's about to happen. See. And the thing is, it says, it didn't say Michael's angels alone. It says Michael and his angels. Farad's going to be with them. See, if he hasn't visited them already, he's going to be with them in this war. It says Michael and his angels. This says angels of Michael and his angels. Farad's going to be with them because the whole point is, he went to prepare a place for us. Whole idea is to clean out, knock them out, get them out of there, clean that place up for our return, because time for us to return. This is the year of our return. So that means that be the year the war would take place. How are we going to return if other people can control it? So we got to fill the blanks, brothers and sisters. That means if this year our return, according to 1619 and 2019, 2020 we played, 2021 will be, that's what it says, we go out, right? So that means that will also be the year of the war that we might have to clean out heaven. That's where we have one heaven. Because we're going to return to heaven, paradise, to return to our promised land, heaven. So the return, you have to clean out the people, right? The dragon and his angels. Trying to put the piece together for you, brothers and sisters. Connect some dots here. Okay? So now they're defeated. Now they're defeated, kicked out. See? Heaven, war in heaven. This is mid-heaven here, right? It's between the earth and the heavens. Just kicked them out. See, they had descended to heaven. Now we got kicked out. They don't think that's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. They'll be kicked out. How long it's going to take? It's not going to take long for this war to happen, right? But I'm not going to say, I'm not, the angel does reveal how long it's going to take, but I'm not going to just reveal it real. So, I mean, if you study, you get it. Anyway, that's, they kicked out. See, they kicked out at that point. See, so when they kicked out, America and Britain, where they kicked out of the Middle East, but false Israel's still there. They can't, unless they, jump on a train and get out. That's just still land. So Daniel tells us they lay siege to false Israel and take it. See, all those nuclear weapons, they won't be, they're nuclear power, right? Why would they? Because Farad is going to denuke them, defame them. See, all of a sudden you see everybody's seeing these vehicles flying around all over the place. You hear more about it every day. Now you're even seeing pictures of them. Farad let you know he's about to go in action. People didn't even see pictures of it now. So that's what's happening here, right? So they kicked him out. So what happens once we kick him out? Bam. See? That's when Babylon falls. See, that wind blew, now the figs are thrown, right? And the fig tree is gone. And the figs are blown. That's Gog and Magog. See? So at that point, right, it says, at that point, angel tells us, when that happens, that means they are at war with Russia and Europe at the same time. And they're also at war with China and Korea. Why would they be at war with Europe? Now we're going to connect some dots here. See, okay, when they get kicked out, Europe was helping them. Europe was helping them, right? But Russia, right, was behind Iran and Syria. They was backing them. So you got a conflict there. So America's got to explain how in the hell they're the greatest power in the universe, and Iran was able to kick their ass out totally. I mean, when they kicked out, it says they would be kicked out totally, not partially, totally. So how in the hell Iran was able to do that? And they can't explain that they stole those ships and that knocked out the Air Force. They couldn't fly anything over there. All that cruise missile and stuff, they took all that stuff out. They can't explain that to the American people over here. They can't come and tell them that they saw these ships. Oh man, they can't tell them that, because then that means we the most powerful. We want to, man, look at us, man. We tough, man. We hyenas. We kick everybody's ass. But there's lions running around. We can't tell people that, because we know the lions kick lions' ass. They can't tell them that. So I have to tell them, Russia did it. Russia helped them. That's how to get in war with Russia. How to get in war with Europe, right? See, get in war with Europe because Europe was defending, was helping them, and then what happens? See, what happens is that Europe is totally dependent, not just Europe, but China also, and it's totally dependent on the oil from the Middle East. Totally dependent. Got a little adjustment here, brothers and sisters. Excuse me. Oh, well, let me leave it there. Totally dependent. So now Iran has total control of Arabia, all of it, all the oil and everything else. And they cut it off. That's what's talking about Chapter 18. The economy of Europe just collapsed overnight. Who are they going to blame? They're going to blame America. And they're going to demand America give them fuel. America's going to refuse. Say, we need it. See? So now they're in conflict with Europe and Russia at war. Because Europe's going to seize all assets and everything. Because they were part of NATO, but now Europe is aligned with Russia against America. They're talking about father against son, mother against daughter, and mother-in-law against mother-in-law, that whole situation. That's what it's telling you. They're going to be at war in Europe. That's a lot of how they talk about that war. And says they're going to go out in the tens of thousands and come back in the tens. They're going to get their ass wiped over there. But they're over there, see? And also, China is going to say, hey, they see America, we're going to talk about that in a minute, a little more, but see, America just lost that war over there. And they show a paper tiger. And see, America's bogged down with that war in Europe. So now, because whatever war Magog's in, Gog's in also. So now they move on Taiwan. And North Korea moves on South Korea. And take it. So now America pledged to defend both of them. So now, and Japan allies back with China. They banned America. They allowed themselves back with China. So now they're at war over there. See? And you got a senile man in charge. Now maybe they might give it to, I see evidence that they're going to give it to Miss pretend to be black Kamala Harris, which she's not Indian. But the point is that that's the situation you got. That's how they get in that situation. I'm connecting the dots for you. See? But then what happens? Now, they got a 200 million man army coming down there from China and India. See? And they getting their ass kicked over in Europe. That means they have to institute the draft. No question about it. And who are they going to institute it for? On black folks. And that's where they're going to attack black folks, because black folks are going to resist. They're resisting the virus. They're resisting the draft. And so now they'll come against and try, because they say blacks are anti, and what's the word they use, domestic terrorists or whatever, because now they refuse. And so in whole, most of them, I mean, there's going to be some demon that's going to go along with them. And so they're going to take, and just like they did the Japanese back in World War II, right? American, Japan, and put them in, they're going to go in and put you in concentration camp. That's where the conflict comes with getting rid of black folks. Because that's what it said. They were feared that they would help the enemy. So if they don't go draft, that means they might turn against us. We can't have that while we have a war over there. So that's why they're going to move against black people. That's what it's talking about right there, because they're under right? They're under Gog and Magog. That's the Christian blacks and Nation of Islam. See? That's what happens. That's what's going to happen. You understand? Connecting the dots here for you now? See? So now they got to get rid of blacks, all blacks. They ain't taking any chances. Because of this war. Because it says we got to get rid of them, right? Because they might help fight the enemy. And now they refuse to draft, and we're in a world war for our lives, and they refuse to be drafted. Male and female, because they've already set that up, where they can draft females too. They see these black folks with this Democratic Party, let them. Elijah Muhammad already solved that problem. He had made you immune from the draft. That whole case with Ali and everything, and Farrakhan's took, and they used Elijah Muhammad's words to make you, because fraud and Elijah Muhammad's story is coming. So you was exempt from the draft. If you was Nation of Islam, you were exempt from the draft. But now the Farrakhan, he's reduced because he's working against you. Because even some of his followers in there, he already said, if America's on attack, we're gonna fight for America. He already said that. But Elijah Muhammad told you that when they're on attack, it's gonna come from Farad. It's divine. So you're gonna be fighting against Farad? I mean, are those people idiots over there? I mean, the demons, we know that we don't want them. We don't care what they are. But the rest of them must be idiots because they ain't paying attention to that stuff. See, because they're idolaters. They don't pay attention to anything he says. They just love him. It's like a Michael Jackson's music. They love the music, man. But I don't care what he's doing, what he's about. He might be molesting children, whatever. He might be doing whatever. I'm not saying I don't know what he was doing, but they jump to the music. And so they love Farrakhan. And you can take them out there and tell, man, hey, let's start eating pork. Because, Wallace, I'm telling you, Wallace was telling people the only reason why is the Quran says you don't eat pork because that back there they didn't have the means to take and cook it properly. Farrakhan was right in on that. They called me a liar on that one. See, you don't know about this man that you think you love so much. See, son of a devil. Anyway, that's the situation there. See, so now they're at war and they got to get rid of us. See, the wind's blowing real hard. See, blowing them over. That's what's happened. So Europe is bankrupt, right? Russia's very powerful, and America's caught in the middle of that vice because all their friends turned on them. See, the NATO turned against them. They aligned with Russia because Russia is the only one that will give Europe. Because remember, Russia is not dependent upon oil from the Middle East. So right now, Europe is trying to change where they can start getting oil from Russia, and Trump was trying to stop that. He was trying to get their oil from Russia. So now at this point, right, the only one they can get oil from, because they can't get from the Middle East, is Russia. Because America won't give it to them. So they ally with America, so they ally with Russia against America. So in that war there. You understand? You see how these pieces fall together? It's mathematics. So Europe have to go along with Russia. Otherwise, the economy, you understand, they'll be totally, they won't be able to do anything. Because without oil, they don't have any reserves. That means the economy's already collapsed. But now they don't have no electricity, anything. The only place they can get that is from Russia. America won't give it to them, so they ally with Russia against America. So America's at war in Europe on both sides. NATO is totally along with Russia now. And then the same thing over in the Middle East, over in the Orient. South Korea just fallen, right? Taiwan's gone, Taiwan's taken. Japan's allied, Japan seat writing on the wall. And they ain't forgot Hiroshima and Nagasaki. So now they're allied with China too. That's the situation. False was gone, their history. And that the political climate in America is totally off the page. Because now they want us to draft. And the other thing they're paranoid about, because everybody in America is going to realize, the whole world can realize that we the true seed of Abraham. Because false was gone. That was the whole thing they were saying is false. False that's them. See, because after Elijah Muhammad put it out there, they had to come up with a new narrative to prove that we wasn't. But now the whole idea is once they return, they would not be removed. And now they're removed. That means we have to be. That means it's clear. So they got all kinds of ways to get rid of us now, because now they understand it's clear. The prophecy comes clear at that point in time. Like the Quran says, your senses are sharp this day, because now the prophecy comes crystal clear. And they know God's coming after them. And so they got to get rid of us with the evidence. I'm just trying to connect the dots, brothers and sisters. See? So it's, again, right? That's what I was talking about. The draft. They try to draft you. Remember, it's only 350 million, probably 350 million people in America. So if you say half of that, that's 175 million. That's male. If you say half is male. 75. But the elderly population is over half of that. So you said about 75 million. You might have 75 million, right? That's not elderly, right? But how many of those are too young to be drafted? See? So you come down, if you're lucky, right? That's in good health, because I mean, they said most kids you can't draft anyway. So if you take the blacks out of the equation, right? That's 30-some million. You're talking about 70. But they took them out altogether, right? So what are you talking about? Maybe 30 million you might be able to get, maybe 40 million, even 50. But they got a 200 million man army. As I said, China and India together. And that's not including their reserves. So that means they have to draft you, and it still won't be enough. See? So eventually we have to go nuclear. They don't want to go nuclear because they know America's the most vulnerable country in the world if they go nuclear. See, they can hit you, North Korea with a few nuclear bombs in places mostly a desert anyway. But anytime you light a match in America, you can burn down the city. They don't tell you all this stuff. Okay. So at that point, that's when Suleiman, right, returns to Nawai. He went there during Obama's reign. They rejected. Now he returned. That's why it says in Malachi, he suddenly comes, the messenger of the covenant. Now Elijah comes, Elijah's temple. They keep telling, hey, nobody to Elijah, read Malachi. He says, the messenger of the covenant will come suddenly. That's when he suddenly come. And then they're going to listen to him, because now they'll be under attack. See, they're under attack at this point. Blacks under attack, Native Islam under attack. See, Farrakhan, his history, he's toast. See, he's already been exposed. He said he can't do anything. He's toast, because he got a terrible end coming for him. Right? He ain't going nowhere until then, because he ain't going to escape that easy. Last way return, that's what it's talking about. It says sun becomes black as sackcloth or hair, moon whole becomes blood. You understand? That's what it's talking about here. So he returns, and now he starts preparing them, see, for what's about to happen, for the resurrection, right, for the tribulation period. See, for they're listening at that point in time. So they'll come and say they're going to clean it up. They come with full of soap, because the Nation of Islam is full of demons. So they tell you, Farrakhan's a demon legion, right? Read Mark about the demon-possessed man, right? Legion was the main demon. Louis Eugene Grounds, the NY backwards. He was the chief demon. And they was plagued with demons. See? So he has to clean it up. Okay? So that's when he comes. As soon as that war starts, right? And because this could happen, as soon as they're victorious, and right, and they get the war, and they attack us, because there's some big simultaneous. Because as soon as they get in the war, that's when they're going to call for the draft immediately. They have no choice. As soon as they get in this war and they get kicked out, they're going to call for the draft immediately. Because as soon as they kicked out, that means they're going to immediately, because when America gets kicked out, they're going to immediately admit war in the Middle East. Because right now, it says that the economy in Europe collapsed overnight. It said 1 hour, bam, it collapsed overnight. That means they're going to be in war right there, because they're going to say, and they can't wait a week. They got to have war right then. Because now the Iranians just shut off. You help them, you shut off. You have no more. See? So now he comes, and he comes to the takes over. That's what's talking about ancient days. He throws down the thrones, and then he sets. He's going to throw out all those so-called officials and everything They hiss their toast. That's what this is going to happen soon, brothers and sisters. This year, probably within a few days. Then we have another situation. See, here we have this. We're going to talk about a power shift. Because now America's bogged down in Europe and in Asia. See, they bogged down there now. But it's not so bad as you can recognize. But look all the trouble they're having over there, right? Over in Taiwan region, Hong Kong, all that stuff. Okay, so here's some of the power shift. Okay, now see here, it said the dragon had 7 heads and 10 horns, and his crown was upon his heads. The heads are European countries, included, right? But you had 2 other beasts. They also had 7 heads and 10 horns. But one of them had the horns were upon his, the crown was upon his horns, not on his heads. And one didn't have any crowns at all. He would be on the long side. So what's talking about here is the horns represent China and India, right? That's also the leopard in Daniel, yellow with brown spots. That's the horns, right? So it's a power shift takes place because now it says in chapter 13 that the dragon gave us authority and power to the other beast that has 7 heads, 10 horns, right? The other beast. So that means a power shift because he had crowns on his horns. That's what it's talking about right here. So now America's bogged down in this war. Now China is a very powerful country right now, and India's right behind it. But now America's losing. They're getting their ass kicked because they're coming under the pressure, and now they see their advantage. They see smoke. They see blood in the water. So now they take their move. They start moving. So the power shift. They're becoming 2 world powers because America can't deal. You know, America's been getting their ass kicked. Europe is fighting against each other. See, their unity is breaking up. Their unity was kept them strong, but now they're not unified anymore. That's an aspect of pressure. When pressure is too great, right? You start crumbling. I mean, all your family ties, everything broke. Unity, when you broke, that means that's dust. Dust has no unity. So they broke. Their power is broken because they fight against each other. As a result of fighting against each other, right? Now that means that gives China and India, right? That's what you're going to see here. See, power shift. They're the world powers now, while Europeans are fighting against each other. You see, and you have Iran and Syria. They're in between. They're in between, right? America, I mean the earth, and heavens. That's talking about Noah's flood. They're holding back the flood because when they remove, that's when the flood comes. Anyway, that's a power shift. That's what's talked about in chapter 13. Power shift. See. So when you look at that, what happens is that a couple of things. It talks about these 10 kings. That's the 10 kings talking about the ones here with the horns. It says these 10 kings will hate the harlot. Harlot's America, right? And they will attack her, make her desolate, eat her flesh, and burn down with fire. It means they're going to attack America. That's the goat in Daniel that comes from the west. His feet does not touch ground, land. So it means coming over the Pacific Ocean and hits the ram, American Britain, so hard with such much force it knocks it down. And it's angry at him. See, that's what that's talking about. But this goat had a horn between his 2 eyes. Now, Udonia is very subtle, so I'm not going to go into details about it. But his only other character is Fra. When you understand Fra, he has eyes. So that's Daniel language. But in other words, it's telling that Fra is leading, guiding them to destroy the ram. Well, how can you verify that? Well, it says the same thing in chapter 17. It says these 10 kings will hate the harlot. That's the ram again, right? That's the goat. That's the God part of it, right? See? And it says, how will they do it? It says, because the God, right? It said he inspired them. He guided them to do it. He put in their hearts and minds to do it. So it's the same thing. So how is Fraud doing that? Well, let's put some pieces together. Let's do some addition subtraction here, right? China And then they're also dependent upon the oil in the Middle East, just like Europe is, totally dependent. So without that, they will collapse too. So now Farad has total control of oil that they totally depend upon. The economies, they can't even wage war without that oil. They can't do anything without it. So now, hey, well, you go ahead and do my bidding. You go ahead and attack them, or if you don't get any more oil. There it is. There it is. I'm just cutting the dots, brothers and sisters. See, none of this stuff is spooky. It's just mathematics. It's telling them, hey, because he's in control now. The Shia control. He's the God. He's in control over there. They're his angels. You want oil, you got to attack them. I'm talking about, I said the nation's going to, God's going to turn the nations against, right? Come against America. There you have it. There you have it. See, that's how I said, put in their minds, and that's because that's what happened. It says the horn, right? The goat. It says the eyes that guides the goat, and that's Farad. It's in both cases, they're connected. That's what's happening. That's how they do it. So in other words, now because everybody's after America, because America's the most hated country on the planet. They talk about they're so great, everything. The most hated, the people that go along with them because they're afraid of them. So that's what happens. That's how that happens. That's very brothers and sisters. Okay? Did I miss anything here? Well, let's move on. And during that time, that's when the four winds blow. See? Because at that point, they're on attack. Nation of Islam is in defensive mode, right? They're defending, and they've been attacked by the government, right? So he takes Sulan to strengthen them, and then when they attack, he calls a Farad to bring down the four winds, the fury of the four winds upon them. That's what it talks about in Ezekiel, right? The four winds blow, that would bring them back together because it was two resurrections. The first one they had form, but no spirit. That's Elijah Muhammad. There's form that you see the uniforms, everything else. They had the form, but no spirit. Because when he lived, they fell apart. Because they had no spirit. They were just doing what he told them to do. See? So anyway, that's what happened. So now the winds are blowing. The four winds are blowing. Right? See? And burn down everything. Tearing up everything. There's this fury of Farad. Bam, hidden. Right? He's doing it for the sake of the elect, not for the sake of the demons. See, you got the blacks, they're attacking all blacks. Right? So that's what happened here. But when this happens here, let's go a little further. You see, the four keys also, the four winds also the four keys. So, see the one unlined key? That's the fifth angel. It says when he went, he was given the key to the abyss. The abyss represents European countries. So he was given the key. So that's when the first trumpet is the key. Then, because this doesn't happen until he gets that key. That key was the key to the abyss to release the locusts. Who are the locusts? Locusts are the greenish yellow. Greenish yellow is not pale horse, it's greenish yellow horse. You got to get transliteral translation. Because that's why one reason why I say locusts, because the locust is greenish yellow. So he releases them. That's when blacks going to retaliate. See? They done got together. They're on attack. Now they're going to retaliate. Christian blacks. They're going to tear this country apart. That's the locust. For 5 months, it's going to be worse than MLK, Rodney King, right? Watts and everything. Worse, Newark riots, 1,000 times worse. They're going to tear this country apart for 5 months. Fighting back because they're not going to draft. We're fighting back. Right? The Nation of Islam will not be doing that. They've been defensive mode, defend themselves. Right? But the locusts, they're going to be off the page. Total insurrection. Like you've never seen before. Now America's totally insurrection. So within, so without. A totally insurrection, right? Totally, right? Total war outside, externally, to World War III, and also inside. Okay? So at this point, after 5 months take place, after that 5 months, then come the resurrection. All blacks come together. All blacks come together. There's so much pressure, so much going on, right? The evangelicals, they're going crazy because right now they realize we the true seed of Abraham. You see, they're gonna be crazy because they was hoping that because now they know who they are. Because if we true seed of Abraham, who are they? And the God's coming out. They see the prophecy. So now all blacks come together. That's the harvest. The demons and saints. It says the chaff and the wheat come together. That's what happens right there. It says those also the clouds. It said he come with the clouds. See, so all eye will see him. Those also are eyes. I've got other videos explain all that, right? But seven, when you see the demons, there's also 7 eyes. It's also right. So it's also and the demons and demons. That's also cloud. To come to clouds, and every eye will see him. That's talking about the whole world. So it's telling you that's Suleiman. He's the son of man. That's when right now he's known all over the planet now. See, so all blacks come together. They're all forced together. They're all forced together him because they see right now all this BS, the vision they was giving Farrakhan and Silas and JTJ, all that stuff is gone. They say none of stuff make any sense. Only sense makes sense now is get the hell out of here. And the only one to have a ticket to get out of here is Suleiman. See, because Fraud has the vehicle. So he do delivering. But you had to have a ticket. You had to be in Lamb's Book of Life. The only one got to get the tickets is Suleiman. So you want to get out of here, you got to get a ticket from him to get on the ship to get the hell out of here. So everybody come together now hoping to get a ticket. Because they know there's no other choice now, you got to go. Because there's so much, they've done so much fire here in America, there's so much hell going on here, and they see America's being defeated all over the place, right? And they're about to be invaded. They know the only, that's the only thing that happens, you got to get the hell out of here. So everybody come together. They come together around Suleiman because he's the only one got the tickets. But then what happens? He separated all the demons and he don't want them. He threw them back into swine daddies. He separated them out. That's it. All the demons threw them back out. He didn't want them to throw them back into the earth. See? At the time to deliver, it tells you that. It says, at that time Michael shall arise, right? And it says those in the book, those be delivered. Those got the tickets. But there'll be 2 groups that wasn't. But one to everlasting life, that means they will get there, but they wouldn't go. They'd have to take the scenic route. And one everlasting is the same. That's the demons. They throw them back. And the saints, they left in the water. That's the waters, that's part of the tribulation. See, that's the nation of Islam. They got to go through tribulation. See? So remember, we delivered. So at that point, right? You see that they moved up. That means we're over there. They're not coming over here. That means we're over there now. That we just got delivered. We're over there now. We're in the promised land. They're not coming. Shia not come here. Iran, Syria. So that means we was left, and the demons were left behind, and saints were left behind, but we was delivered. That's what it's talking about. See, that's what's happening here. Okay, this is the ark again, right? How many was in the ark? 9. This rock was floating on water. See, so that's what happened. So the demons are thrown, cast out. Now we don't have a problem anymore. Now we're not plagued by demons anymore. If Islam not plagued by demons anymore either. And then separation, because like I said, we back home. See, but the whole world is in a war all around us. We at war too. Because when we first get home, Joshua will be fighting the Arabs, Ishmael, because the authority's been defeated, but the people still in the land. That's why Joshua had to go and fight, because they're not giving it up. It's our land, but they claim it's theirs. I'm not going into the details, but so we'll be fighting initially, but we got to fight to take the land back from them. It says we'll be given houses that we had not built. See, all that stuff they built, they got these beautiful houses stuff over there. Some of them got gold, all stuff in it. Those are gonna be our houses. That's it. When you be given houses you did not build. See, all that's ours. See, so you got mansions and everything else. See, that's what's getting ready to happen. We're going to live, those houses not going anywhere. We're going to inhabit those houses. See? That's what it's talking about. We're going back to our land. Farah's going to prepare for it. We're not coming back to a desert. All that sand is going to be blown away. When that sand blown away, you got topsoil maybe a mile deep. That means overflow of milk. It's paradise. And we don't have to build no houses and everything's already there. And we're going to build beyond that once everything settle down. But we're going back in comfort. Once we not get all the happiness out of there. Okay, here we go. Try to connect dots for you, brothers and sisters. Here you go, right here. This is the flood. Now see, if you go back here again, see, Iran was holding back the flood. It's a flood of humanity. That's why I call it seas and the river. They was holding it back. But once they was removed, right, the demons couldn't hold it back. So now comes the flood. China, that's when the goat attacks. Knocks out America first, Britain, and then Europe right behind it. That's the flood. Flood said destroy everybody on the earth. The earth represents European countries. It drowned everybody on the earth. That's the flood. See? And we're in the ark and we're floating on the water. That's the story, brothers and sisters. And that's the ark. Elijah Muhammad's parting message was, I was there. He said, remember the story of Joseph? Because Joseph had a coat of many colors. There it is. That's Joseph. Look at many colors. Only one missing is Orientals, and that's another story. We talk about that some other time. Right? So that's the flood. China and India. And Africa will be divided into two parts. Islamic Africa and non-Islamic Africa. Non-Islamic Africa is going to be with, he's the beast that has 7 heads and 10 horns, but no crowns at all. He said he'd be alongside the beast that has 7 heads, 10 horns, and crowns, one's horns. So he's alongside. That's Obama. He went forth conquering the conqueror, the first seal. That's him. You're going to see about him in a minute. So Africa is divided in two parts. It don't be all this country anymore. It just be two. It's going to divide into two parts. It could be non-Islamic Africa. It could be taught, and Islamic Africa. But Islamic Africa is going to go with Farad, and non-Islamic Africa go with Obama. And then the last war, the final war, because it says once we have peace at home and everything is safety, right? The whole world was at war. They finally fighting each other and everything else. Finally, right? Only one who emerged victorious, Obama is an African, and they returns over the Chinese and Indians. But they're all working together, but now he's victorious, so he's like the emperor or whatever, right? So now they have control of all the world except for us in the Middle East, over in Arabia. And they say, well, hey, so they got this more than 200 million man army. And that's when they attack us. They surround us and attack us. See? And that's the last war. We destroyed them. So it takes 7 months 6 months to bury the dead. It'd be an awesome war. Much worse than this war, World War III, what they having. This war would take place. I don't talk too much about it because that's after we get home. After we get home, that's the last attack. See, it says his last victory will be over death. Death represents Oriental countries. That's what's talking about. I mean, like people dying. So the last victory will be over death. And that's it. It's the last victory. Because they're going to attack us. And it says these 10 horns will make war with the Lamb, not fraud, with the Lamb. And he overcome them. See? But that means you, brothers and sisters, we're the ones who have to deal with them. See? That's time. So that's when you're going to reign. You're going to earn your right to your godhood in your woman's eyes. See? Hope you understand, brothers and sisters. All right. Salam alaikum.